Hello and thanks for joining us again on Agenda 2030, a program designed to give you an insight into the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, also known as the SDGs. On today's episode, we will be looking at the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, which is pinned to Goal 2 of the SDGs, with reference to how much of it has been actualized. The program is one of government's initiatives to tackle the problem of malnutrition among children. We will also bring you the keynote address by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs, Princess Adejoke Orilokwe Adefulire, at the 6th Annual Symposium of the Imperial College Nigerian Society, where she expounded on the federal government's practical measures in tackling developmental challenges. All these will be served when we return from this break. Stay with us.
Agenda 2030. As a successor framework for the Millennium Development Goals, the global community rolled out a bigger, deeper, and more encompassing framework called the Sustainable Development Goals, designed to transform our world, lift the poor out of poverty, as well as ensure inclusive and healthy society. On Agenda 2030, we take you on a media trip to the global destination of the future we want. With everyone on board, we focus on the people and their struggle, the civil society and their agitations, the government and her development effort, the global development agenda, its 17 goals and 169 targets. We bring you all the deliberations, insightful conversations and high-level partnerships on the road to global destination. Agenda 2030, showing on this channel. Agenda 2030, leaving no one behind.
As you know, you can always watch this program and other episodes by subscribing to our YouTube channels on youtube.com/FreshNewsTV and youtube.com/Agenda 2030 TV. You can also watch the program live on Facebook. Log on to www.facebook.com/FreshNewsNG and www.com/Agenda 2030 TV. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Agenda 2030 TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember to drop your comments and share with your contacts. Do use the hashtag Agenda 2030 and hashtag Agenda 2030 TV.
Nigeria will continue to support the United Nations in all its efforts, including the attainment of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I thank you.
Agenda 2030, showing on this channel. Agenda 2030, leaving no one behind.
Thanks for staying with us. In 2016, when the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, HGSFP, was initiated and coordinated by the Office of the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, with technical support from the Imperial College's Partnership for Child Development, was launched. The main aim of the initiative was to provide school children across Nigeria with a free, nutritionally balanced and locally sourced hot meal every day in school. Since then, the school feeding program implemented by the Mariam Uwais-led National Social Investment Program has gained traction across the country, and testimonies have abounded. We bring you some of the successes made so far in the implementation of this program in Nigeria.
Social investments is a key pillar of our economic recovery and growth plan. There is no way of fighting poverty and its many causes and implications without social safety nets in one form or the other. It explains why we believe that eradicating corruption is central to eradicating extreme poverty. We cannot allow theft of public resources and speak of sustainable development.
Since the establishment of Nigeria's Homegrown School Feeding Program by President Muhammadu Buhari, the program has helped in boosting school enrollment, nutrition, job creation, and financial inclusion, among others. Highlights from the meeting of the Committee on the Implementation of the Out-of-School Program reveals that the federal government is designing a strategic framework to address inequalities and challenges that limit the poor and the vulnerable from accessing education. It is also believed that the success with the implementation of the policy will positively impact the SDGs by reducing the number of children who are out of school and increase the proportion of those who complete the circle of basic education. Already, indications recently given by the Nigerian Minister of Education, Malam Musa Adamu, shows that the number of out-of-school children in the country has dropped from 10.5 million to 8.6 million in the last 3 years. While the drop is ascribed to the efforts made by the federal government in implementing the enrollment drive policy and school feeding program, members of the Committee on Out-of-School Children program maintain that the government intends to sustain the momentum.
My name is Lawrence Chidi Anukam. I'm the Director General of the National Environmental Standards and Regulation Enforcement Agency, NESRA. I support Agenda 2030. I implore everybody to keep on watching the program and also support the implementation of SDG in Nigeria.
Meanwhile, Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo inaugurated the National Council on Nutrition in Nigeria last November in Abuja with a view to tackle malnutrition problems. While inaugurating the council, Professor Osinbajo said Nigeria must make speedy and visible progress in its fight against hunger, malnutrition, and other nutritional challenges.
The homegrown school feeding program is designed to also improve enrollment and completion, stimulate agricultural production, and create employment opportunities for the community. However, by 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari's government is looking forward to expanding the program to 36 states, increasing the number from 24 states, who currently are implementing the school feeding program across the federation. These states include Anambra, Enugu, Oyo, Osun, Ogun, Ebonyi, Zamfara, Delta, Abia, Benue, Plateau, Bauchi, Taraba, and Kaduna. Others are Akwa Ibom, Cross Rivers, Imo, Jigawa, and Niger states. Over 8 million pupils in 45,394 schools in these states are currently being fed under the program, with about 87,261 cooks also currently engaged under the program. Facilitator of this homegrown school feeding program, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, had reiterated President Muhammadu Buhari's assurances that the federal government is ready to partner states where nutrition issues are prevalent in a bid to urgently prioritize the implementation of the school feeding program. These assurances have prevailed as the program is already going on in some states with great testimonies. These are school children having midday meals in their school. The teachers in these schools are very delighted with the intervention for the pupils. They said it serves as support for the parents of the children as well.
Before, after the break, when they entered the class, we discovered that some of them, they were weak, and when we asked them, they said they don't have food, they don't have money. But since the inception of the program, free feeding now, we can see changes. Academically, we see changes in the way they relate to one another.
Health-wisely, it will help the pupils to grow very well. Even if they are not able to get anything of such in their different homes, the one they take into school it will help them a lot.
The program is carried out with some ground rules, which includes requirement that the meals to be served the pupils must always have protein, while the cooks are to provide sureties that will guarantee their good conduct. They must also undergo health screening from government hospitals, live close to the schools they are to serve, and have access to clean water. Here are some of the caterers commending this humane gesture by the federal government.
Nígbà tí ó pè wá nínú òṣèlú pé fúnfẹ́ lọ o ló nídìí ẹ o tí mo dẹ̀ náà sì kọ́ lọ́dẹ̀ kàmí mọ́ wọn tó lọ́ ń gbà kóso fún mo dẹ̀ ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ iṣẹ́ báyìí wọ́n á dúpẹ́ ní ọwọ́ Ọlọ́run mo dẹ̀ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ wọn olórí wa ló máa fún ọ̀ṣẹ́ náà máa ràn wọ́n ní ọwọ́.
Supporting this government initiative, a caterer and cook, Aishatu Imam, took it upon herself sometime last year each day to feed over 70 students in Saliu Dogo Primary School in Jalingo local government area of Taraba State. Sharing her experience, she said the gesture really helps to reduce hunger in children in schools and also helps families who can't provide meals for their school children. The federal government, through the Homegrown School Feeding Program, is very optimistic that if this program is effectively implemented, the goal too of zero hunger of the SDGs in Nigeria will be achieved.
Moving on, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs, Princess Adejoke Orilokwe Adefulure, told participants at the 6th Annual Symposium of the Imperial College Nigerian Society, London, that the federal government is determined to, against all odds, eradicate poverty in Nigeria. Represented by her special assistant, Olatoyosi Onolapo, Princess Orilokwe Adefulure also called for the need to focus urgently on initiating policies and initiatives that drives inclusive growth for Nigeria. Here is an excerpt.
The Homegrown School Feeding Program. This program is aimed at increasing the enrollment and completion statistics at the primary school level. It is also targeted at boosting children's nutrition with a value chain that creates jobs for the cooks and ensures a sustainable income for smallholder farmers as agricultural demand increases. Currently, about 6,044,000 pupils are being fed daily in 20 states by 61,000 plus cooks in about 33,000 primary schools all over Nigeria, not in all the states, in 22 states. The Nigerian government is actively pursuing the goal of poverty eradication through a robust and coordinated social investment program. The objectives of the National Social Investment Programs are to increase access to income and livelihood by providing access to targeted funds for poor and vulnerable households, increase business revenue and facilitate market linkages, stimulate productivity and growth, especially in rural communities, reduce inequalities and wide disparities, promote access to financial services, and increase rates of financial inclusion, as well as improve households' ability to absorb economic shocks, increase access to education and healthcare services for poor and vulnerable households, reduce youth unemployment, linking interested volunteers to address existing gaps, eradicate malnutrition in school-age children by establishing a sustainable school feeding program, improve enrollment and completion outcomes in public schools, increase target household school consumption rate, provide affordable credit for MSMEs, improve the quality of life index, and bringing into visibility those who have never been registered on any platform for proper planning. The National Social Investment Office, that's the NSIO, operates an integrated social investment program which consists of the following, and these may interest you. The Empower program, I'm sure a few people have heard about the Empower programs. Empower is designed to help young people, young Nigerians, acquire and develop lifelong skills to become solution providers in their communities and players in the domestic and global markets. Empower is also addressing the needs in the teaching, agriculture, and health sectors for graduates, and skill acquisition, creativity, and ICT knowledge for the non-graduates. 200,000 Empower graduates have been successfully deployed and are being paid in all 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Volunteers have been engaged for Empower Agro, Empower Tax, Empower Health, and Empower Teach subcategories. The next round of 300,000 graduate volunteers have been pre-selected. For the 10,000 N-Build artisans have been verified, supplied with toolboxes for a 3-month training, and assigned to 160 skill centers in 22 states. This happened, I think, just last week. After training is concluded, artisans have the opportunity to become interns for 9 months before exiting. 80 more centers in 15 states are being audited to engage 10,000 more. 20,000 number and knowledge are also about to take off in hardware, creativity, and software category trainings. Under the Empower, the federal government is also setting up 8 technology innovation hubs around the country, 1 in each geopolitical zone, a humanitarian hub in Adamawa State to encourage technology-related ideas on humanitarian challenges, in collaboration with the Red Cross and the Adamawa State government and the Climate Change Innovation Hub in Lagos State to address renewable energy challenges especially. The Adamawa Humanitarian Innovation Hub in the Northeast will support and build businesses with ideas that proffer solutions to the humanitarian challenges in the region, opened between September and December 2017 with the Northeast Mechathon. Inclusive economic growth towards poverty eradication. A statement on the United Nations website for the Sustainable Development Agenda reads thus: eradicating poverty in all its forms and dimensions is an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. To this end, there must be promotion of sustainable, inclusive, and equitable economic growth, creating greater opportunities for all, reducing inequalities, raising basic standards of living, fostering equitable social development and inclusion, and promoting integrated and sustainable management of natural resources and ecosystems. This sums up not just the essence of the Sustainable Development Agenda and the importance of taking practical steps to eradicate poverty, but the dynamic role of inclusive and equitable economic growth in poverty eradication. Generally, the essence of inclusiveness and inclusive growth is improving the condition of life of the poor population by creating an enabling framework for every segment of the society, in particular the poor, to participate in the growth process. Ultimately, it is about making opportunities abundant and reducing barriers to the achievement of better living conditions. We recognize the primacy of government's responsibility in designing policies for pro-poor growth and creating the right environment for more people to contribute to and benefit from the economy. This goal was encapsulated in the federal government's Economic Recovery Growth Plan, the ERGP. The ERGP is a plan by the government targeted at driving Nigeria back to sustainable, accelerated development and restoring economic growth in the medium term, 2017 to 2020. There are signs that the problems we face today may become harder to grapple with. For instance, while tackling poverty remains the weightiest challenge, our vast population of more than 180 million people continues to grow at a rate at which is projected that Nigeria will surpass the United States as the 3rd most populous country in the world. Based on the World Poverty Clock statistics by the World Data Lab, Nigeria needs to ensure that 11.9 people are graduated out of poverty per minute to escape extreme poverty. Currently, we have a deficit of 6.8 people per minute. Against this background, there is an urgency to focus on initiating critical policies and initiatives that drive inclusive economic growth while achieving macroeconomic stability. Importantly, we recognize that pursuing growth without an environmental process that enables the participation of every section of the society or ensures equitable opportunity may lead to other adverse incidents such as corruption, which more than other externalities have effectively undermined positive outcomes of the growth process. This accounts for the renewed drive of the federal government of Nigeria to address the inequalities of the social, cultural, political, and economic factors that have led to the exclusion of the greater number of our people from participating in the economic system. We recognize that inclusive economic growth is the pivot for the sustainable future of our nation. The United Nations over the last 4 to 5 decades has seen its role increase from merely maintaining peace between countries to creating a better world generally, with specific focus on ensuring all people have equal opportunities and access to the most basic necessities of life. In September 2015, and in further commitment to creating a better world for all, 193 member states of the United Nations unanimously adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This brought into force on January 1st, 2016. The 15-year plan of poverty eradication, fighting inequality, and tackling climate change is contained in the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The earlier Millennium Development Goals witnessed poverty reduced by half, with more children gaining access to primary education and health care. HIV and AIDS and malaria were curbed to lowest levels in recent years. The MDGs brought hope to millions and is lauded as one of the most recent successes of the United Nations. However, while the Millennium Development Goals focus largely on the plight of developing countries, the universality of the Sustainable Development Goals is its greatest appeal. The SDGs will focus on three core areas: economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. It is not merely about the development of the few countries who are desperately below the line of globally acceptable development standards and indices. It's about the whole world we live in, the well-being of its people, and the preservation of nature. These global goals, as the SDGs are otherwise called, will address economic growth, inequalities, decent jobs, cities, and human settlements, industrialization, oceans, ecosystems, energy, climate change, sustainable consumption and production, peace, and justice. The SDGs will rely on strong implementation plans, the mobilization of financial resources, capacity building, and technology, as well as data institutions for their achievement. While upholding the aspirations of the SDGs, we recognize the need to set implementation priorities and strategies to pursue goals which are the most defining issues of development for Nigeria. At the heart of this is ensuring poverty reduction through human capital development, promoting economic empowerment and sustainable livelihoods among the citizenry, and driving economic policies to ensure local self-sufficiency in agriculture. We're certain that most of the problems which confront us as a country can be solved if the poverty prevalence is reduced. Of note, this would appear to be the rationale behind the strategic placement of poverty eradication as #1 goal of sustainable development. This understandably is predicated on the fact that every other problem confronting the world at the moment is inextricably linked to poverty, absolute or relative. We can continue to examine, and all we will discover is simple. Critical to the achievement of sustainable development is the eradication of poverty. We keep coming back to this. We have to continue to find a way to eradicate poverty, period. The interplay of the goals of sustainable development revolves around poverty eradication.
I'm an environmental artist. Keep watching Agenda 2030 and always support sustainable development goals.
And that's the much we can take on today's episode. Remember, you can always watch this program and other episodes by subscribing to our YouTube channels on youtube.com/Fresh News TV and youtube.com/Agenda 2030 TV. You can also watch this program live on Facebook. Log on to www.facebook.com/Fresh News NG and www.facebook.com/Agenda 2030 TV. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Agenda 2030 TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember to drop your comments and share with your contacts. Do use the hashtag Agenda 2030 and hashtag Agenda 2030 TV. And that's our package. Thank you very much for being part of the program. I am Toyin Nkamiang John. See you again next week. Bye.